Okay, we left off Mishna Berura, page 220. V'mapsikim bo. We say not permitted to interrupt the Hallel. Elok der shomer b'krishma. We deal with the Hallel identically as Krishma. What you're permitted to do between the paragraphs, in the middle of the paragraph, the same thing regarding Hallel. Hakol v'or leil b'sim tov kuf pei ches linyan Hallel b'shnei yom harishon shel Pesach b'mrak Hallel v'lokfolo hocha el hashmino de b'suko shovin zel ledino kol shmonos hayomim tam b'chutz loretz gam simchas Torah b'chlal zeh the gam bo gomer mahalo. We have 9 days, right? We have Shmini Atzeres, then we have simchas Torah. V'us sofik shmini b'emtza shoel v'yor kol ador me'elu atzof esimi v'orsim tov pei ches mishmur. Okay. Okay, let's go next halacha. Okay, now we're starting Dinei Lulav. Oh? Dinei Lulav. Lulav shenifrilu olav zeh me'al zeh. V'lo nedaldulu kabale achorius. Kosher afilo agodo. Right? Let's say you have a lulav. Sometimes when you pick, I don't know if you people you go and you pick lulav. Sometimes a lulav. You ever go to botanical gardens and you see a palm tree? Initially, when the branch starts growing, the lulav, the palm branch starts growing, the leaves are separate. As it matures, it hardens. It becomes a piece of wood. The lulav becomes literally a piece of wood. So it's a process, but initially the leaves are separated. But the leaves are pretty much, they're solidly, they're securely touching one another. They're not separated. The leaves are not separated. They're only separated if they're hanging. If sometimes there's like an overhang. So from gravity, the leaves, they separate. So the leaves are separated. You understand what I'm saying? If they're hanging to the side. So eventually they separate the leaves. So some of the branches, those branches don't grow. They don't become branches. But normally, if it's basically intact, the leaves are really running up the spine of the lulav, touching it. That will eventually become a piece of wood. So initially, when we have the lulav, even if you don't put the band around it, of course, if you shake it, it's going to come loose. But without really shaking it hard, it's really, sometimes you have a lulav, it's so solid, it almost doesn't shake. Doesn't even shake. Right, you're not even to shake it. I mean, shake it like you're shaking almost like a stick, right? There should be some sway in the lulav. It should be slightly flexible, right? That's the type of lulav you should get. So, but here we're talking the other way. The leaves are semi-separated, but they're not hanging apart. They're not hanging apart, right? Velodadlu kabali chorios. Kosher filo godo. It's kosher even if you don't bind it. You don't put the band around. Now, we rule halacha that lulav ain't tzarech agad. There's a machlokes tanoim if you have to put a band on it or not. We don't have to put a band on it. We rule, without that we put the rings on it, it's hidden mitzvah. It only beautifies it. So if one, let's say, one doesn't have a ring to put on, or the ring falls off, it's kosher. It's 100% kosher. It's not the ultimate zekeh levan veu. It's not hidur mitzvah. Okay? So therefore he says, it's kosher afilo agodo, even if it doesn't bind them, to have the leaves touching one another with a ring, it's valid. Hakor. Which words? Lulav shenifridu. A lulav, the leaves came apart. They became separated because we'll discuss a case which is discussed in the Mishnah. What happens is the leaves are actually torn off the lulav, and you reattach them with a band. They're artificially as one. It's definitely not valid. The leaves are not part of the lulav, correct? Here, they're slightly separated, but they're not hanging apart from the center, from the spine of the lulav. Balichorios, what's your balichorios mean? Yeah. Hagomi kolmoko mitzvah min amufcha b'lulav she'eno lo prudos legamri. But it's a mitzvah min amufcha that the leaves should not be separated totally. They shouldn't hang away from the from the lulav itself. Let's see, Mishna Berura. Shenifredu. Hainu kama anfi hashevet she'omdim prudos v'yichon la'ogdon. Okay. Sometimes, let's say you have a branch, and you have like smaller branches, offshoots of the branch. You can't even put it together because the branches, they're so stiff. You have to like force them together. Here, you could put them together if you bring it together with a band. With a band, would put it all together. The tevach charios means the offshoots, the branches that grow on a tree. Shenifru ha'olin nisrachu abi mokum chibur niskashu b'keitz. Ven yichol la'ogdom yachad. Therefore, you can't. We have a case. Yeah. Okay, this case in the not long ago. The Daf Yomi. Charios, where it comes out, do you see it as one tree? Do you see it as multiple? Do you see it as naguda? Do you see it as one or not? It discusses this. Prudos. Hatas helo shemashechmi and Rav Hamagid lemitzum nemufchar udaf keich shkol olav tluyos lamato rak she'olim alulav. Here, which means, he says, when we say they're separate to a point where it's a mitzvah and a mufchar, right? That's where they're hanging downward. Let's say the lulav, you have it standing erectly, and the leaves, they hang down. Unless you bind it together, they hang down. That's the case where it's not mitzvah and mufchar. But let's say you hold the lulav and they're separated slightly. It's not the leaves, they fall, they hang downward. That's fine. That's not lacking. That's not lacking the mitzvah and the mufchar. That's the taz. Taz helo shemashehechme Rav Magid lemitzvah and mufchar hudavke hechosh kol olav tluyos lamato. Rak she'olim im alulav. The leaves have to be aligned with the lulav. V'nifritzu, all of this we'll discuss later. It's the Mishnah. What about if the leaves are torn off? Nifritzu. Pasul go shedit plushu olav legamri min alulav. The leaves are actually torn off the spine. They're torn off the lulav. Ela shetluis lamato. Shenidlushu olav legarmin lulav. Either that, o shetluis lamato, v'gam ein olim imalulav. He says, or let's say they're hanging so far down, they could be hanging where it's like only attached to the bottom of the lulav. You could have leaves where the leaf hangs over, but they're attached where they're attached. Others, it's literally barely attached to the bottom of the lulav. It's literally with like a thread is attached. Oshnidul mokom chiburan beshidro v'adayim murim b'miktsas avol kol she'ein olav tluyos el chas notel itzodim, it hangs slightly outward. Afil mitzvah mufcha enkan. It's not a problem. That's still a mitzvah mufcha. Omna my Mordechai v'chem b'kor Yaakov mefaktin al divrei hataz. This is my Mordechai b'kor Yaakov. That's the Aruch LaNer. They question the Ketaz's position, meaning if you hold a lulav and it separates naturally, even if it doesn't hang down, it's still not minim mufchar. It's not really a first class lulav. The question is what's first class. But datim k'stimis Ramah, and their position is seemingly what the Ramah says, that really it should not separate, even though it's kosher. But if you hold it up and it separates, not where it separates slightly, and it hangs to the side a little bit, it's not mitzvah mufchar. It's interesting. The mitzvah nufcha yishtzor shligito l'chatchil lulav kein shochin olav zalzeh v'lo l'tztodim. Literally, that it's naturally the leaves are touching one another. It's not when you hold it up, the leaves naturally separate. That's not a mitzvah nufcha. Ta said it is. The Bikuri Yaakov Emrachos, it's not. It's interesting. Many years ago, Rabbi Heinemann, the star came in Baltimore. So when he came to Baltimore, when I was in yeshiva, the mashgiach was the posek. Even though he was the mashgiach, he was special. He was the posek in Baltimore. And any question in the 4 sections of Shulchan Aruch, whatever it was, he'd be the person to speak. Whether it was a monetary question, everything, he was the address you go to. Rabbi Heinemann comes. He was a young man then. Those years, he was maybe in his early 30s when he came to Baltimore, and he was like a semi posek. And And it comes sukkah, so everybody buys a esrog. You show it. Is it hider? Is it not hider? Right? Is it muhuder or not muhuder? So they brought the esrog. So it was interesting. You know, you say beauty's in the eyes of the beholder. That's what beauty is. So they brought the esrog to Rabbi Heidemann. He says, 100%. They brought it to Reb David, who was the mashgiach. He says the question is whether it's kosher. You know, everything's based on your experience. You know, it's the way you see things. I mean, that's what it is. That's what hitter is. I'll give you there's a rush, a very interesting rush in Sukkah. Let's say esrog, if it's not, it says pre-eitz hodor. Has to be a beautiful fruit. It's not mitzvah. Let's say esrog is truly an ugly fruit. Ugly fruit. Right? They have a fruit, it's called an ugly fruit. But let's say the esrog is not really an attractive, naturally, it's possible. It's not, you don't fill the mitzvah zekeh levanveu. It's not valid. So the Rosh speaks out a case. Let's say you have a year, esrog, a terrible crop. What's beauty? Beauty, everything's relative. So he says a year where you have a bad crop, what would have been possible the previous year, this year is kosher. Because relative to what you have, this is hitter, this is a beautiful esrog. In terms of what's around, this is beauty. That's the rush. That's the Russian sukkah. So it's all that. That's interesting. Many years ago, the esrog district was Canal Street, Lower East Side. So Rav Moshe, Zeichet Tzadik Levrocha, Tfer Shushalayim, his yeshiva was just around the corner. So every esrog salesman, they sold thousands and thousands of esrogim. Those days you buy a set for $5. That's what it cost, $3. And expensive, really, top of the line was $20. That was top of the line. So every person, is it kosher? He said, take the Rav Moshe. You had thousands of people bothering Rav Moshe. Rav Moshe didn't get a penny. You understand? All these people, this was their livelihood. You're bothering Rav Moshe Feinstein for a week or two before Sukkot, checking esrogim. You know, at least give something to the yeshiva. Did it. I mean, he was a tzaddik. You can't imagine. I don't have to tell you about Rav Moshe Tzidkus. So what happens? A person brings the esrog to Rav Moshe. You know, you have all kinds of characters. So, and everybody say, Rav Moshe just glances, 100% kosher. The person feels that Rav Moshe didn't focus well enough. So maybe it's not kosher enough. No, he just let it go. He just sent them off. It's like go to Reb Chaim, bracha v'atzlacha, you know, and you go on your way. That's why he gives you a bracha. Some people stop at bracha v'atzlacha. The person comes around for a second turn, you know, to get another bracha. So the person comes back to Rav Moshe a few hours later because he thinks he just can't go back. It's not respectful. So he waits a few hours, goes back. So we're talking with thousands of people would go a day. So Rav Moshe looks at it, he says, I already ruled on this. I told you it's a beautiful esrog. You understand? That was Rav Moshe Feinstein. He sees thousands, the man brings it back a few hours, he says, I already looked at this one. You see what kind of keen eye he had. Yeah. The Gemara says in Bav Mitzi and Elu Mitzias, this is at least his favorite parak, Elu Mitzias, that when you return an Aveda, a lost article to a person, you have to give a simon. You have to give someone an identifying sign that it's yours. It says a Talmud Chochem, he has Tfiyas Ayin. And when he glances at something, he just recognizes what it is, just by looking at it. There's certain characteristics of something that he knows that's what it is, and you believe him. If it's a man who never ever lies, we're talking about that kind of person, not that he's learned. You believe him, he says, he recognizes it is, you return it to him. What do you recognize? But there's no identify. Because he sees things that the average person doesn't see. That's his. Okay? So I'm saying here we have machlokas. What's heater? What's heater by a lulav? If the leaves are slightly separated, and when you hold it, and they're not bound together with a band, is that hodor? Is it zekeh levaveh or no? So it's machlokas. The Taz says that is 100%. First class lulav. The Bikuri Yaakov and the Maim Mordechais know that unless it naturally, the leaves naturally touch the spine of the lulav, right? It's not hodor. It's kosher, but it's not hodor. It's not mitzvah min hamuvchar. Okay? Base. Nifritzu olav. What is nifritzu? Literally means, it's a question. The leaves were torn off the spine, and they were reattached with a band. But the Mechaber says, "Vushidaldlu mishidro shalulav al kabali chorius." Dahainu she'no olim imashedro elo tluyin lamato posul. Meaning the leaves themselves, they hang, and they don't naturally go up. It's not because from gravity. The way it grew, the leaves grew out. At where it attaches at the base, it hardened, and because it hardened, it's like a branch, right? It grows out. The Gemara, people eat bamboo shoots. What's a bamboo shoot? Right? If you leave leave it on the tree, grow a little bit longer, it becomes bamboo. But initially, before it, at the earliest stage, it's vegetation. So the bamboo shoot is the earlier, not allowing it to mature to turn into bamboo. That's a bamboo shoot. So Gemara speaks about cases. What bracha? What bracha do you say on bamboo shoot? If a person goes and eats a shoot of a tree, right, before it turns into what do you say? Bar priates? Do you say bar priadama? What bracha do you say? It's edible. Do you say shako? Right? So the Gemara says that the branch, the shoot of a tree, is not meant to eat. Right? It's meant to be there to produce fruit or whatever it is, or to be part of the tree. Since the tree wasn't planted for the shoot, one doesn't say bar priates. This is not the fruit of the tree. Bar priadama, you'll say. But what about if you have a tree, you plant it specifically, let's say you have bamboo shoots. There it's planted to eat. It's not you're diminishing the tree or diminishing what it was growing by cutting it. It's planted to cut before it turns into bamboo. Right? So that's what it is. Anyway, right, what bracha would you make? Bamboo grows continuously. It's not a tree. It's not simple what it is. What bamboo? No, it is the fruit of the ground. It's bar priadama for sure. It's bar priadama. It's not an eitz. Could be it is because there they plant the palm specifically for the heart of the palm. It's planted for that. There you would say bar priates. What? It's not a tree. No, it's something. A tree is something which is a perennial. The same tree gives off fruit year in and year out. No, because that's a stalk. Right? Every year they cut it down and a new stalk grows and you have new bananas. Right? That's the reason.
But what say in the
Not sure. Mangoes is eights. Definitely.